I am back in the lab today, as you can see from my background here, with my logo up there and down over there, and you can see the background break, and the microphone is my normal microphone, which should be sounding a little bit better than it has been for the last few streams, and that's because I've been downstairs in the utility room trying to assemble my rack for the last few weeks. But I went ahead and put that on pause, at least for stream's sake. I will be revisiting that more or less once things get a little bit more finalized, done, built, because I'm sure that y'all don't want to see me unscrew and screw a whole bunch of things to my rack, from my rack, etc., for the next like 3 weeks. So I will be putting that in the background. And instead, I was actually clued into a need in our small friend streaming group that some folks may not know their way around OBS all that well. OBS Studio, or Open Broadcasting Studio, is the piece of software that I and a whole bunch of other people use to get streaming here on Twitch, as well as YouTube, and a whole bunch of other places that do live streaming. So today I'm going to go through the entire process, start to finish, of downloading, setting up, and getting a stream going with OBS Studio. We'll just do a test stream. And as part of that, I'll go ahead and give you all the tips and tricks for getting things properly set up and working, as well as integrating a whole bunch of additional features, such as the logos here and there, the background that you see here, the getting started animatics, and all that kind of stuff. It's really not all that difficult. It did take me a little while to learn how all the ins and outs work. I'm hoping this will help to be a shortcut for a lot of folks. There are plenty of people who are way more advanced at doing this kind of broadcast stuff than I am, but I figured I would take a crack at it to let people who are not as well versed in this stuff as I am get a little bit of additional knowledge in their noggin. And hopefully, put on better streams and be more acclimated with the tools that are in front of them, so that we can actually, go through and be confident in your stream and what all of the little buttons and switches do, instead of getting, flustered when, XYZ doesn't work. You kind of have an idea of where to go. You might fix that. So I'm no expert, but here I am giving kind of a good overview, brief tutorial, and also Q&A. So if anybody out there watching this is interested in asking some questions, you can go ahead and put them down in the chat if you're live here on the original live stream. Or go ahead and shoot me a Discord message. That's not a bad place to be. I'll go ahead and toss the Discord in the chat. It's Cpgeek.org /Discord. But I'll go ahead and put that link there in the chat so y'all will know what the deal is with that. If it works. Cpgeek.org /Discord. I'll just do it that way. And hopefully that will pop right up for people. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and click my own link just to test it out. And of course, nothing's happening because I'm in stream mode. That's okay. I'm pretty sure that goes to the right place. So what I'm doing right now is I have a second computer. So the first computer is running the stream. That's what you're seeing me on, etc. But I have a second computer that is my work laptop, that I have been streaming from downstairs for those rack building streams. But what I'm going to do is remove OBS from it completely, totally wiping it, and I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch here as far as a way to make all of that happen. So I am going to pause for a couple of minutes here, just so I can clear that all out. There we go. So y'all should be seeing the desktop for my laptop here. Now, I just have this plugged in via HDMI to the Camlink 4K capture card that I use for capturing typically my camera output, but I don't have the second camera here upstairs at the moment. And instead, I've got the laptop here, and that's just plugged in, outputting its whole desktop situation here, and download OBS Studio. Open Broadcaster software. So OBS works on Windows, Mac, and Linux machines. Most of my experience comes from using OBS on Windows computers. I have used it on a Mac before. It was a little finicky at that time because while I was using it, it did not support the hardware encoding that M1 Max takes advantage of. So unfortunately, it was incredibly slow on that platform when I was using it. I've heard that they have since gained support for the integrated Apple encoding hardware. So things are quite a bit quicker and quite a bit better on battery life and that sort of thing. So you come here, you download it, you install it just like any other Windows application. And when you run it for the first time, you get this. Now, so what it wants to do is automatically configure itself, which is great, especially for folks who are not very well versed in using software like this. This is a much, much easier way to do it than they have done it in the past. They have recently gotten a lot better at the user experience of getting started here. So there are really just three options that they throw at you from the auto configuration wizard. There's optimized for streaming, recording is secondary. There's optimized just for recording, I will not be streaming. That allows you to do things like shooting YouTube videos that are not at all streamed while you are in OBS. And shooting live to tape is what it's called, is pretty fantastic because you can do live camera and scene switching and go directly to what will eventually become a YouTube video or some flavor of offline video. You don't necessarily need to stream in order to get this look in terms of streaming. You can go ahead and do that right through OBS as well. And the third option is I will only be using the virtual camera. OBS has a very powerful virtual camera system, which will allow you to take any scene in OBS and export that as if that were a webcam, which is kind of neat for applications like Discord or WebEx or Zoom, where you want to have either overlays or perhaps you have multiple inputs that you want to display to people who are on Zoom, WebEx, that sort of stuff. So you can bring in like multiple people, or you can have multiple cameras, show them what you're working on, as well as a face cam, that kind of thing. So that's a few different things that you can use for that. There's a lot of creative uses for it. But for today, we're just going to concentrate on the streaming aspect. Now, clicking on one of these does not mean that you can't use the other few things that are listed there. It just means that it's not going to automatically set up and optimize for those situations. So I'm just going to go ahead and click the next button. All you got to do, I didn't click on anything. It's just the first one is selected automatically. So I click next. And it wants to know about video settings. Specify the video settings you would like to use. Now, for Twitch, I would always recommend you set up 1080p or the best quality that you have up to 1080p. 1080p is kind of a limit, but it's also kind of what you want to go around in terms of resolutions for streaming services. If you go too far under 1080p, you end up with a blocky mess. That's not good for your people. And if you go over 1080p, most people are not using devices capable of more than 1080p, so it's kind of a waste of bandwidth. I'm sitting in front of three big 4K displays, but even when I, full screen at 1080p stream, it's good enough. Um, and as far as Twitch in particular, they want you to use H.264 encoding. There's no test at the end of this. They want you to use H.264 encoding, which is the most standard encoder method on the internet right now. And they want you to use either 1080p or something that's, just a little lower than that. Maybe 960p is fine, I guess. I usually just set it at 1080p and call it a day, unless I particularly need 4K. The only time I really need 4K is if I'm chasing things like fancy computer graphics, or I'm doing an art stream for whatever reason. Something where the resolution is actually going to matter, and I expect someone might load it up on a computer capable of 4K or above. But that's kind of a rare edge case for me. So it's going to ask what the base canvas resolution is. That should be the resolution of the computer that you're using, as close as possible to 16 by 9. And most folks are going to have a 16 by 9 display, period. That's just the way that things work. If you do not have a 16 by 9 display, for example, if you have an ultra wide screen, you're ballin' gamer who has an ultra wide, then I would probably still set the you have the option of setting the base canvas to either your ultra wide resolution or your whatever the 16 by 9 equivalent of that is, and only using the 16 by 9 section in the middle of it. And the reason for that is very few people actually have ultra wide displays, and you're trying to cater to the lowest common denominator. Usually what happens here is whatever is there will work. And typically on this laptop, it will say use current 1920 by 1200. It is currently saying use 1920 by 1080 because I have manually lowered the resolution of this laptop to 1080p, and that's its current resolution. So normally I would use 1920 by 1200, which is close, but this is just fine too. And as far as frames per second, that's another thing. The lower the frames per second, the more data that can be sent to each frame. So the higher the frame rate, the lower the bandwidth per frame. And that's because there are more frames. So if we are doing, 30 frames per second, then each one of those frames gets twice the amount of data as if I were streaming at 60 frames per second. There are reasons to stream at 60 frames per second, however. Video games that are Twitch shooters, for example, are a good reason for that. So if you are streaming, I don't know, Call of Duty or Counter-Strike or like esports, then it might make sense to stream at 60p, just so that you don't miss a frame that could be necessary to see what somebody is hitting. Again, that's a little of an edge case unless you're a hardcore esports gamer, but I figured I would throw that in there as well. Most of us are going to be streaming at 30 frames per second, and that's the way to maximize the amount of bandwidth spent per frame, and that will in turn make each frame basically as good as it can get for your encoder. And that is actually going to matter when it comes to the encoders that we are working with right now, which would be that H.264 encoder that I spoke of earlier, that it will automatically choose for you while you're working here. So with that out of the way, the defaults that it has here are good for me. So FPS is either 60 or 30, but prefer 60 when possible. I'm actually going to click on that and go just use 30. So 30 frames per second. And that will basically mean that each frame is as good as it can be, rather than going with 60 FPS, which will has a bandwidth cost, basically. So we'll click next, and here we are going to assume that we're streaming with Twitch. We'll go back through this when it comes to YouTube, which is the only other place really that most people are going to be streaming to at the moment. So we're going to say Twitch, and it wants the account credentials. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and connect a secondary account. So here we have log into Twitch. Proceed. And I am actually going to come on over here to this view while I'm entering my username and password, just in case bad things happen. All right, just a second while I enter that. And you can click that little remember box that says remember me for 30 days before re-authenticating. And I went ahead and did that. And here we go. And you always want to prefer hardware encoding. So this brings me to a quick diatribe for hardware GPUs versus integrated GPUs versus hardware encoding techniques on a variety of platforms. First off, if at all possible, you do not want to be encoding on your computer's CPU. A lot of encoding specifically is a huge power and compute suck for doing anything on your machine. It slows things down, it makes things hot, it draws more power. Most computers these days have some variety of dedicated hardware for doing encoding on your GPU of some kind. Laptops, for example, like the one that we have here, have an integrated GPU, which is necessary for outputting video to the laptop here. And that iGPU has integrated hardware encoding built into it. This is known as Intel. What is their term for it? QuickSync. That's what it is. Sorry about that. So Intel QuickSync. And Intel QuickSync provides a variety of different hardware encoding methods for a few different things, including H.264 and I believe also H.265 encoding. Twitch doesn't support H.265, but it's a little bit more of a efficient encoding method, so that you can fit more data per your data. Quite literally, it basically mathematically compresses the data as losslessly as possible, so that it can be sent over the internet in as high quality as possible. So, for example, if I set my bandwidth to 6 megabits for an H.264 stream, and I set my bandwidth to 6 megabytes and an H.265 stream, the H.265 stream is going to look way better because of the more efficient encoding. As a small aside, Twitch and other streaming platforms, YouTube, etc., are/will be using AV1, which is a fairly new streaming, fairly new encoding platform, or not platform, a fairly new encoding codec for doing hardware encoding. And the deal with that is it is leaps and bounds more efficient than H.264 and H.265. A 6 meg stream, for example, in AV1 is going to look fantastic compared to even what you're seeing me now on Twitch using. And this is also a 6 meg 1080p stream here. So yeah, that's basically the long and short of it. AV1, when it becomes available, will be a game changer. It's roughly twice as efficient as H.264. So that's really fantastic, and will basically make it so that we'll be getting much higher quality streams, as well as much lower bandwidth needed to operate those streams. So, for example, if you're watching on a cell phone on cellular and you don't have a good connection, you can choose a 320 by 240 stream at, I don't know, something like 1 meg, and that 1 meg stream is going to look pretty fantastic, even compared to, you know, the 1080p stream that you're viewing now. Anyway, so always prefer hardware encoding. If you do not encode with hardware, you're gonna have a bad time. Hardware encoding usually works best on a discrete GPU, but modern iGPUs like that found in this laptop for QuickSync, and those found on AMD laptops for their AMD integrated GPU solutions are actually, you know, pretty good for modern streaming. This notebook can definitely do a stream at 1080p for hours on end with no problems using its hardware encoder. The bottom thing here, estimate bitrate with bandwidth test, may take a few minutes. This will actually do a test on your stream of how much bandwidth you have at your current location and networking, to figure out sort of kind of what the appropriate bandwidth is for your computer. This is actually not something that I want to do right now because it will interrupt the stream because I've logged in using the same account that I'm currently streaming with. So I'm going to uncheck that, the estimate bitrate with bandwidth test. And you'll note that when I do that, it does show me some advanced options, including a stream key, which you can get manually through Twitch, but there's no reason to do so anymore. You can also do that, get it manually from YouTube and other services as well. You can get a new stream key from here as well. But the only thing here that we really want to take a look at are the server, which it can do auto, which works great. But also, if you have problems with automatic setting for what server that you're using, you can come down here and basically select what Twitch server or YouTube server that you want to use. There are third-party programs that can also do tests on all of the various servers that are in your area and show you which one is fastest for you. Auto is usually a safe bet. It didn't used to be, but I found that on most internet connections that I've tried it with, even some crummy cable at other people's houses, that auto is generally fine. But if you have connection dropout problems, especially if your stream keeps dropping, you might want to come in and set this to another server. And that's where you would do that. I can show you where that is in the advanced options once we get rolling as well. Now, video bitrate. I don't know if you can actually read that, but it's suggesting 2.5 megabits by default. Now, if you run the bandwidth test that it asks you to do here, and you have over 6 megabits of solid bandwidth upload, then it will probably suggest 6 meg. I'm going to type that in here. So 6,000. That is the maximum that Twitch currently allows on their platform. YouTube allows a much greater bandwidth, allows much higher quality, and that's how you would go up to 4K 60, for example, if you wanted to do something along those lines. But Twitch has limitations as far as how much bandwidth you can use up when you stream. One of the things behind that is YouTube will do automatic transcoding of your current stream into a variety of other streams at different resolutions and output that live. Twitch doesn't have this magic. It's not a problem, but you generally want to stream at the highest bandwidth your users will view at. Sometimes you get transcoding, and that's great. Most of the time, you're not going to have transcoding, and you don't want to go too high with this anyway, because if you are, trying to stream to people who are viewing on cell phones, you don't want to really go much beyond the bandwidth that they're able to download successfully and cleanly. And that's going to be probably in that 6 meg range as well. And Guild pops in. Hello, hello. So we're at 6 meg. We're setting auto. We'll click next. Oh. Huh. My account is connected again. Don't know why it did that, but c'est la vie. And those are the general settings that you want in the auto configuration wizard. Click next. So here it gives you this final results screen. If it did your bandwidth test, it'll tell you what what it thinks the bandwidth should be going up. If it's over 6, it'll put 6 there. It found my quick sync video encoder at H.264. That's exactly what I was talking about a few moments ago. So we're doing hardware encoding with the quick sync video encoder. This particular computer is an i7 12 series. I don't remember exactly what it is. Probably a 12700H or something like that. So it has an iGPU with quick sync video. On my desktop, where we are now, I use an NVIDIA 4090, in which case it will show hardware NVENC, NVENC, which is the NVIDIA encoder, and it will tell you that you're using H.264 as well. Recording quality, so when you hit the record button, if you hit the record button, that's optional. It'll go ahead and record same as stream. So what hits the stream is exactly what gets recorded. I personally record all of my streams because I have plenty of space on my hard drive. It's the encoded version of the stream that gets recorded, so it really doesn't take up too much space. And that also allows me to do local edits and upload to YouTube that way, rather than having to mess around with the online editor. So base canvas resolution, we're doing 1080p. On my desktop here, I usually do 4K as far as the base resolution. And then output is actually a separate resolution, so it will automatically scale the output from your base resolution, which is what you set, to your output resolution, which is also what you set here for scaled resolution, 1080p. So on my desktop here, for example, my input, my base canvas resolution is 4K because that's what the display that I'm using drives. And that allows me to build up all of my logos and on-screen stuff and whatnot, all in a 4K scene. And then it goes ahead and scales that to 1080p, which is what you guys are seeing now. And FPS is 30. To use these settings, click Apply Settings. To reconfigure the wizard and to try again, click back. To manually configure settings yourself, click Cancel and open Settings. So we're going to do a combination of that. Right now we're going to apply the settings that we just set. And because the account is connected, we basically get the stream chat overlays. So we're just going to go ahead and click Proceed here and Proceed here. And I'm going to go ahead and make this big so that you can see all of it. So by default, it gives us the stream information. So it allows us to enter a title, which currently the title is this stream because that's what we're working with here. And as far as go live notification, that's basically what you enter to alert people who are following your channel that you're streaming, and everything is good there. I am actually in the wrong category, I think. I am currently in makers and crafting. I should probably be in like education or something, but I'm not going to bother changing it at this point. And one of the cool things about OBS is that you can drag things around. So these are floating windows by default, right? In order to get them to stick to where I usually have them, and you can place them wherever you'd like, for example, and you don't have to have them at all. So if I want to, I can go ahead and click the little X button and it goes away. And here OBS warns us you just closed a dockable window, but if you'd like to show it again, use the Docs menu in the menu bar. So we'll go OK, and then we'll go up to Docs, and then we'll go ahead and open up Stream Information, and that window comes back exactly the way it was before. So learning your way around the interface with OBS is really important for general setup. However, these are also dockable. You dock them the same way you dock any other window. You drag it to the edge of the screen in a certain view. And if we slowly move the mouse to where we want to dock, we'll notice it made a little bit of room there for the docked window. And then I can just drop it. And then it'll go ahead and become part of the user interface. If we want to slide things around, we just move to the edge of where that is, and we can make that window larger or smaller. And as you see, the rest of the interface will slide around and accommodate for us here. On my general setup, I like to put the chat window on the right here and lock that into place and make that a little bigger so I can read chat. And this is actually live as it is right now without even streaming. So as people chat, you can see that they are chatting. Got some chatception going on here. And Guild says, hope you and yours are having a good remainder of the weekend. You too, buddy, you too. Just currently giving a quick tutorial on how to use OBS. So you click done to update. So as far as the stream information, I only use that at the beginning of the stream. So I like to put that down here on my controls. And if you drop a window on another window, it becomes tabs. That's super neat too. And you can drag these tabs around to organize them however you like. So I put it under the controls so that when I start a stream, I can come on over here to stream information, enter my title here, enter my go live notification, hit done, and that will update things, and then go back to controls and then start streaming. So that becomes a super easy way to make that happen. First off, as far as the interface goes, I always like to be in studio mode, and what that does is it gives me a preview scene and a program scene. So I can preview a scene while I'm actually streaming to the program scene. A lot of folks who already have used OBS will already know how this works and why it works. But I will demonstrate that in a few moments once we get some scenes set up, which is going to be more or less the next part of this. First, I'm going to go ahead and go to my docs section and go to stats. So these are stream stats. This is sort of the nerdy information stats for nerds that you get on YouTube. So we get things like how our CPU is doing, the disk space available, our current memory usage, our current frames per second, our time to render a frame. So if that goes over, it'll turn red, indicating that we don't have enough performance. Somehow we have a bottleneck that won't allow us to render frames fast enough. Frames missed due to rendering lag. Again, this will turn red, indicating that there's a problem here with the amount of performance on your machine. This can certainly come up, especially when game streaming, when you're using your GPU to play games, as well as using your GPU to render the video for your stream. So this is a good thing to keep an eye on. Also, skipped frames due to encoding lag. So if you're having a problem with your encoder, that would show up there as well. It also gives you the status and output if you're currently streaming. It'll tell you how many megabits you've outputted, as well as the bit rate, the megabit per second. So this I always stick right here. So we've got stats right on down here. Scene transitions, I don't usually use that particular tab because I have the tabs up here from being in studio mode. So I just leave this as stats. And what else? Docs. Twitch activity feed. So this is a good one to have if you do stream on Twitch. This will tell you exactly what is going on your channel. I always dock this to the left side, like it showed Mom resubbed 58 minutes ago. How the heck did I miss that? Well, thank you, Mom. Right now, just to repeat, if we go up to the docs menu, we can go to Twitch activity feed, and that will pull open the feed for Twitch here, and you can make this any size you like, wherever you like, and dock it however you like. I usually toss this in the left corner here so I can keep track of whatever is going on. On my big monitor in front of me that I'm actually streaming from, I have the activity feed as well as the Twitch stream manager. I don't know if that is a default dock. If it is not, I can certainly show you how to do that, because Twitch also supports custom browser docs. So if it can be a web page that you can see, you can go to custom browser docs and enter a name for the doc and the URL that you would like the doc to be. So in my particular case, I have the Twitch Stream Manager up and running there. And let's see. So the URL for that, for the Twitch Stream Manager, which is super convenient to have here inside of OBS, waiting for you here. So we'll call that the Twitch Stream Manager. And that is going to be at https://dashboard.twitch.tv/popout/u/your username, so Cpgeek2 in this particular instance, /stream manager /quick-actions. Now, this is just the URL of the popped out version of the Twitch Stream Manager that you can go to by going to twitch.com into your dashboard and then pop open Stream Manager and then click the pop out button and then just grab that URL. That's exactly what I did here. So if I apply, it'll open that website in this view and apparently ask me to log into Twitch again, despite me being logged into Twitch already. Oh, it doesn't share the cache credentials. So I'm just going to go ahead and enter my my credentials there one more time, and remember me for 30 days, and proceed. And once I'm logged in, it renders the web page. So this is the quick actions, the Twitch stream stuff. Feel like I had more quick actions on my other stream dealer. I can also add quick actions to this and do all the same things that you can do on the regular dashboard. In this, you can just go ahead and dock over here as well. Just going to set this right beneath the Twitch activity feed. There we go. And from here, I also can do things like YouTube chat. I can do the reward request queue if I want to. I do have that set up here as well. Let's see, what else? Oh, also the Social Stream Ninja chat overlay that I had set up as well. I would do with this too. And I can go through that a little bit more. That'll probably be a second stream with all of the awesome utilities that I use to, in addition to OBS Studio, to make things a little bit more polished. So I'll go ahead and save that for next time. But for here, we went ahead and created our own custom browser dock, and that can go to any website with any dynamic content. So it could be, YouTube chat. It could be sound alerts manager. You can put whatever you want there. And here we can, move things around. 1080p is not a whole lot of monitor to work around with a whole bunch of UI elements. I have a lot more leeway to do so on my desktop. So just to get a little streamception going on here, I want to show you the desktop of the computer that I'm currently working on. I know this is going to be super busy and a little on the annoying side, but let's go on over there. So things are quite a bit smaller. I don't expect you to read anything, but this is kind of sort of what the finished section looks like. So down here we have all of the OBS scenes that we'll have in our new setup soon. I won't put all of my scenes there, but that's where scenes generally live. Here is the source list. So I didn't really change too much from the default layout on my own OBS main computer setup. So everything is more or less where you would expect it. The audio mixer, which I did adjust to vertical layout. That's one of the options here. If you right click in the audio mixer, you can go vertical layout or horizontal layout. I prefer the vertical layout for this particular section. Down here, we have the stats that we were talking about before. I put Twitch stats here along with a tab for the stream info. And controls, I do have a multiple output plugin. I'm not going to cover that here today. Again, that'll probably be a slightly more advanced kind of setup there. Here I have the chat. Up here I have a chat overlay, which I'm not currently using. I need to update that and get that going again. Here we have the Twitch Stream Manager, as I was saying before. And up here we have the activity feed. So I'll go back to the laptop now, and you can see that this is more or less the basic setup that I was using before. In this particular instance, because there isn't a whole lot of space here on the 1080p laptop, I'm just going to stack these one on the other, and that will then become a tab back and forth for the activity versus the buttons for doing stuff. So like here we can raid, for example, in a graphical way. But we're going to leave it on the activity feed so we can see when people, follow and subscribe to your stuff. By default, let's go ahead and talk about input and output. So down here for audio mixer, you'll note that this mic/aux thing is bouncing away. That's the VU meter, and it's picking up my voice using the onboard microphone on this laptop here right now. I don't like this at all. So the reason I don't like these defaults being here as defaults is that it doesn't give me the optimum control over my audio stream. So what I like to do is we'll come up here and go to settings, and we'll go to audio, and there's a whole bunch of options here. This can get as advanced or as simple as you want it to be. So I'm going to come over here to desktop audio, and I'm going to disable that just so it goes away. I'm also going to come here to the mic/auxiliary audio and disable that so it goes away. Usually when I'm streaming, I will be wearing headphones for monitoring. You could also monitor to speakers, but I usually do headphones. I'm not currently monitoring, as you can see. I should probably toss the headphones on my head so I can hear what's going on the stream, which is why I missed Mom's resub. Turn up the soundtrack just a little bit more. Helps to monitor your stream so you can get a feel for your balance here. All right, so next, as I was saying, once we've disabled all of the global audio devices, which I'm not a big fan of global audio, you can set it up that way. It's a little bit more difficult, in my opinion. Sample rate, you should probably leave that alone. 48 hertz stereo is fine. Monitoring device. Here we go. So by default, it says default, which is the default Windows audio output. This will automatically switch back and forth between your computer speakers and your headphones and whatever else that you plug in as far as like a headset or external speakers or a USB DAC. In my case, that's what this is plugged into, my headphones here. So I always like to specify this manually so it doesn't jump around, and I always select my headphones, which I would have to have plugged in and working here. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and select the speakers as my primary monitoring device output. I can always come back in there and select a different one later on. I know where that is. And we're going to leave the default suggestion of disable Windows audio ducking. That basically makes it so that some applications, their volumes get dynamically turned down if they're not in the foreground, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen for OBS. And we want to leave this unchecked, the low latency audio, unless you're specifically working with one of these deck-linked/NDI outputs. We can set up hotkeys if you want to do things like push to talk, push to mute. That can be useful if you're playing a video game and you have in-game streaming audio that you might want to selectively speak in your OBS session versus speak in your game. You might not want the microphone to be hot in both places at the same time, that kind of thing. Depending on what you have to say to what audience. So that's the audio setup, which is basically disable all the global audio. And instead of having global audio, what I like to do is manual audio setup. So I'm going to add a scene. Now, you might have noted on my scenes list on my computer that I have utility scenes. OBS supports nested scenes. This is an incredibly important thing to know about, a concept to understand. So what I like to do is label all of my utility scenes, stuff that is only going to be used for nesting, as utility. So I can keep track of that and manage it. So I'm going to call this in capital utility and then audio. So we'll click OK, utility audio, and sources are really anything that you want to generate audio normally. Typically, you only want to have one microphone online at any time, unless you're doing like a podcast thing where you have a person on one side of the table and a person on another side of the table, and they both have a microphone, and you want to mix those. That's not this. But as far as that goes, you want to have some flavor of microphone to talk to your audience. So we're going to click the plus button to add something to this scene. And in that case, it's going to be an audio input capture. And we are going to call this microphone. And we're just going to use the laptop's array microphone that's built into this for now. And click OK. And we'll switch to that scene. And you'll note that the VU meter pops up. Now, things that are in a scene that is not active will not be active. So, for example, if I switch to this scene called Scene, which is just all black right now, you'll note that in the audio mixer settings, that microphone goes away completely. But if I transition back to utility audio, the microphone is there. That means that anywhere you do not have utility audio, you do not have your microphone. Next. Oh, and that's super convenient for things like BRB screens, where you specifically do not want your microphone to ever be. So you can cut to your BRB scene and know for a fact that your microphone is not hot. So if you have something where you want to, like, kill the mic real quick, you can go to a BRB scene and not have to worry about a conversation in the room being streamed. Here is also where I would add soundtrack. So if I pop open backing track. All right, so if we go to backing track and I select the playlist, and I'm going to pause this for now. And then I shuffle a playlist. It'll basically play all of these in shuffled format, which is more or less what we're doing right now on stream. But what I do is when I do this, I come on down here to the Windows audio settings. I open up the volume mixer, right? And I select Edge because I don't use Edge for much else. And I tell it that its output device is whatever the output device that I am not using. And what that does is it makes it so that the YouTube on Edge does not come over the computer's audio. So if I don't want to be listening to the background audio, I don't have to be. What I usually use for that is just a separate DAC, and that works quite well. Just to have a separate audio path. I was actually using my old DAC downstairs in order to do soundtrack in the previous way of doing things. And then from there, I go into OBS, and I then add audio application audio capture. There we go. It says it's in beta, that's fine, and I'll call this soundtrack. And the window that it's going to capture would be the YouTube window that I currently have set. I have way too many tabs open. Ah, first one. All right, so I went ahead and captured, I set soundtrack to capture that audio. Come back over here, I'll hit play. And I'll mute that on the stream there. And when I go back over to it, what the heck? It doesn't appear to be playing. So I'm not sure why that's not working at the moment, but I'll go ahead and stop that from playing for now. And it should be bouncing around here like a normal VU when I go ahead and start it. I think I just have the an incorrect window selected for the actual capture. I think that should be yeah, I think that should be the Edge instead of Explorer. I'm not going to harp on that for now, but that's how you would select the window that's playing YouTube audio for capture. And you'll see that there. So our audio currently consists of soundtrack and microphone. And then as far as scenes go, let's go ahead and delete that scene. I just clicked on it and then click delete. So yes. So audio is currently our only scene that we have out here, and that's usually what I start with. I usually start with audio output. So next, I'm going to go ahead and create a utility. Cam. I usually list my cameras by letters. That is my personal way to do things. I'm pretty sure that's the way that most average productions do it as well. You can do it by numbers. You can do it by saying whatever you want to call the camera. Give it some meaningful name. I could say utility computer webcam. That's what I'm going to be using. I'm actually going to leave that there for now. I usually call them ABC, etc. That's fine. So utility computer webcam. And I will come over here and do video capture device. And this will be computer webcam. And there's me in the lab with that light up above blowing everything out. So if you see everything is good here, which it should be, you can manually adjust resolution and whatnot here, but I'm not going to bother. I'll go OK. And it takes up the full screen in my instance because this is a 1080p camera. But if you're working with a 4K display or a camera that outputs lower resolution, it will start. Oops. It'll start like that in the corner. And you can either click on it and drag the corner out. If you hold down the control key, this is important. If you hold down the control key, it will keep the aspect ratio and will scale exactly the aspect ratio that you see there. If you do not hold down the control key, I'm not holding it down right now, it will used to do that, holding the aspect ratio anyway. Okay, I guess forget what I just said. The other thing you can do, and what I'm going to do now, is if we right-click the video box and we go to transition or transform, we can actually do things like stretch to screen, center to screen, center vertically, horizontally. Right now, I'm just going to fit the screen, and we're back to where we were before in exactly the same resolution that things will work well in. Note that if I go to this scene, so this scene is now active, we do not get audio mixer, or there's nothing in our audio mixer because we didn't select any audio to go with the video. The only source that's here is the computer webcam, and if I switch to the audio, it's all black, but we get the audio sources here. So now we get to put that together. So we create our first main scene. I usually call this a cam or something along those lines. Just for consistency internally, I'm going to call this computer webcam. And because it doesn't have utility in front of it, that flags, oops, we'll just call that webcam. And because it doesn't have utility in front of it, it will mean to me that this is a real scene. You can also drag around your scenes for convenience sake. They're not in any particular order other than the order that you create them in. I do not like the way that these are organized. I actually utilize a plugin for OBS on my own setups called the Scene Tree, and that enables me to do hierarchical arrangements of stuff. So I can hide all of the utilities, for example, in its own section. And I'll be going over that in the next video that I do of OBS stuff. So in our new webcam scene, we do not have any sources right now. So what we're going to do is use our utility scenes as sources. So what we do is we come on over here and we say we want to add scene. And from here, we can select the existing scenes that we currently have. So we're going to select our webcam, and we're going to select our scene, our audio. All right, so we have these two sources. We've got the utility webcam and utility audio. Now, the reason that I do these as utilities and to do all of this stuff as nested scenes is so that I can make one change to any of the things that I have in my utility scenes, and those will populate to all of the scenes that use that nested scene. So if, for example, I want to come in here to audio and adjust my microphone to add a filter, right? So I can add filters and whatnot to this, which I'll go over in a few moments, and that will make it so that any scene that has that as a nested scene will get those changes, and that should be almost all of them. So we've got a webcam scene, we'll add a BRB scene, and we'll add utility overlays. So this is where sound alerts go. This is where let me take a look at my overlays. I have a whole bunch of them. This is where my logos go. This is where sound alerts go. This is where I have my pop-ups for chat and social stream, which is the chat overlay plugin that I use. That's where all of that stuff goes. And to do that, let's just go ahead and pull in chat. Real simple like. So what I use for that is stream elements. So I'm going to go ahead and pop stream elements open. This one. Okay, so this is Stream Elements dashboard. I just logged into it on the desktop here. So in order to make this happen, let's go down to where is it? Streaming tools, overlays. There we go. So I have custom overlay for Stream Chat. What I did was I just went ahead and added a new overlay. If I click edit, y'all can see immediately what happens. Come on. Oh. So this is literally the overlay. And I've set it so that it's translucent. So I have a translucent background, and then I have chat right on top of it. So I saved that out, and I have an overlay URL that I can basically toss in as an overlay on the computer. So once I got that URL, I can just dump it into OBS as a web page. So if I come down to add a new source, and then I do a web source browser, I can do Stream Elements chat. And then all you need to do is add the URL that it gives you, which I'm just looking that up right now. There we go. And then we'll just paste that overlay URL in, which I was not going to type from my computer here. And this was set up to be 4K. So this is dependent on what resolution you choose within Stream Elements. 3840 by 2160. Yours will probably be 1080p, and that's totally fine. All right, so we'll scroll down a little bit more, and we want to refresh the browser when the scene becomes active, and we want to shut down the source when it's not visible. So that will save memory and computer power when it's not currently active. It basically won't update, but we want it to refresh chat when the scene becomes active. So I'll click OK, and I'll resize this to be appropriate for our current setup here. And I'm going to plug in some power to this laptop. All right, so now that we have power, I'm just resizing and positioning our chat overlay so that it's in the right place. All right, so now that we've got our overlay set, and if we type into chat, hello, you'll see that it pops up here on our chat overlay, and that overlay is active, and that should be good. So now we have an empty scene with just the overlay, and so we'll go over to our webcam scene, right? And we'll go ahead and just add scene utility overlays. And now, because that utility overlays is above the webcam overlay, it will display right on top of me. So now, if I type in hello in the chat, we get a nice chat overlay, courtesy of Stream Elements. Wow, I can't keep the thought in my head. So that's how overlays work. Now, if I needed to modify or add overlays, I could do so right in the utility overlay, and that would populate to all of the scenes that I have my overlays in. That's super convenient. So what else I could do is, in my case, I have a whole bunch of additional art that I've created over the years for Cpgeek.org. So if I come down here into my overlays, we'll get that overlay, and I'm going to add a image, and I'm going to create a new, and we're going to call this the Cpgeek.org logo. Okie dokie. And we'll browse for that image file. There we go. So I have a backup of one of my exports from the Cpgeek.org main scene collection that I have here. So there's just my logo. It says Cpgeek.org, and that's what it looks like. So we'll say OK, and we'll go ahead and drag this to the lower left-hand corner, and that's exactly how I have this logo down here on my current set of overlays that you're looking at. And I'll make this quite a bit smaller, just so it's out of the way, unobtrusive. And if we go up to our webcam scene, you'll notice it's already there because I just updated that particular overlay. So utility scenes are incredibly important as far as nesting different scenes into one another. You could abstract that another time by doing different hardware utility scenes, and then putting those different hardware utility scenes into the different categorized utility scenes. For example, you could do just a utility scene for the main camera, which is actually what I did here. And then you could do, or you could do a utility scene that includes just the soundtrack audio, just the microphone audio, and then in the audio utility scene, you can tie them together. Same thing with each of these individual overlays if you wanted to. You can do this any which way that you want, but nesting scenes is by far one of the best techniques that OBS allows you to do in terms of managing the different audio devices, overlays, and different source components that go into your channel and keeping everything consistent. Because if I add this overlay to any scene, including my BRB scene, for example, it will basically show up in exactly the same place, the same way every time. So in our BRB here, we can go ahead and add image. We're going to add BRB image, add browse, and we'll come up to BRB. And we'll go ahead and go transform, and we're going to fit to screen, and that'll automatically center everything and make it as big as it can. And here in the BRB scene, we may want to have our overlays. So we're going to add scene and then overlays. Okay. Now we've got the chat overlay. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is a slightly different color to indicate that the background is semi-transparent. So now if I choose this scene, we'll transition to the BRB scene, and you'll note that there's no audio mixer because there's no audio going to the BRB scene. We have here the the BRB, but with full chat overlay and whatnot in exactly the same space without having to mess around with it. And if we do want to mess around with it, we can come on over here into our overlays and we can move the Cpgeek.org logo to the opposite page, and you'll note that it's updating in real time on the output for all scenes at the same time. If you wanted to, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to do that in this particular instance. So if we go utility, soundtrack, let's put soundtrack here. So if we wanted to take out a scene with all of its configuration, we can right click on it, copy, and then right click and paste reference. So that basically brings all of its settings, including what the window that it's capturing or any of the other settings for it, into this scene. And then we can go ahead and remove it from that. Remove soundtrack, yes, that's fine, but it remains in the other scene. So if we want to move things with all of its settings, we can totally do that as well without breaking anything. And now in audio, we can go ahead and reference soundtrack by scene, and then we'll add utility soundtrack to audio. So now both of these will be in the audio. So if we go over to the webcam scene, right, we still got soundtrack, we still got microphone, and that's working great. But if we come over here to our BRB scene, we have just the BRB image and the overlays, but nothing here. So what we can do here is we can add scene soundtrack. So now webcam has all of the audio, including the soundtrack and the microphone, but the BRB scene only has the soundtrack, so the soundtrack can continue while we're in BRB. And for basic setup, the last thing that I'm going to show is the setup for your game stream. So we're just going to call this game stream. This is a master scene, so it's not a utility scene. So we'll go ahead and add in our scene. We'll add in the audio here, and we'll add in the camera. So utility webcam. And we will add in utility overlays. And then we're going to go ahead and make the camera small. So, whoop, that's overlays. So we're going to click on our webcam view so we can adjust that. And we're going to make this small. We'll put this in the corner here, but we want it above the logo. Just my own personal taste. You can do whatever you like. And then we can add game capture. And what we want to do is we can either capture any full screen application, capture a specific window, or capture a foreground window specifically with a hotkey. So in our case, we're going to go ahead and capture any full screen application. So that's what you would do if you're trying to stream a game, and we can just transition to that and make that our active scene. And when it's time to BRB, we go ahead and click on that, make that our active scene. If we had multiple monitors, which I typically do while streaming, and it makes life way easier, we can go ahead and go to View, Multi-View. In my case, I'm going to go Windowed. And what this does is it gives me a listing of all of the scenes that I currently have, and I can turn off what scenes should not be in this particular multi-view setup. But it allows me to go ahead and see a preview of all of the scenes, and then double click on the scene that I want to then make active. So right now it's in preview. Oh, the double click is a sorry. The double click is a setting that you can do for multi-view. So if we come into settings, we find where that is. Transition to scene when double clicked. There we go. And I think that affects multi-view as well. So then we can switch to game stream. Etc. So that's the long and short of doing a very basic OBS setup. Other things that we can take a quick look at as I was going through the settings a moment ago. If we come into stream settings, you'll see that I'm currently logged into Twitch. My account is connected here. So here's where you would disconnect your account if you wanted to do that. You could again do a bandwidth test right from the settings here, and you can do various Twitch chat add-ons if you wish. We're currently just using the stream chat setup here. That's normal. Right now it's showing that the maximum video bitrate that's Twitch is able to handle is 6 megabytes, so 6,000 kilobytes. The maximum audio bitrate that Twitch is able to handle is 320 kilobytes. Most folks, including myself, only stream at either 128 or 192K for audio. You shouldn't really have to worry about that. That's plenty for voice. Yeah, so things are good there. If we wanted to connect to, say, YouTube, for example, then what I would recommend doing, instead of modifying the stuff that we have here, I would create a new profile, and I'll show you how to do that momentarily. Here on output, this is all of the video and audio settings. So you really shouldn't have to mess around with any of the optimization stuff. Usually only come in here if something is broken, or to set the video bitrate. So the video bitrate I currently have set maxed out to 6 megs, which I use for pretty much everything. If you have a cable internet connection or lower, so DSL, satellite, etc., and you feel like you can't hit 6 megabits upload consistently, then stream at a lower bitrate. Getting to your end user is way more important than streaming in super high quality. So if you are uploading on a cell phone, then 1 megabit upload is 1 megabit upload, and that's fine. What I would recommend doing in that instance is if you don't know your internet bandwidth is solid at any particular bit rate, just do a speed test. I'm going to go ahead and pop open my speed test here. This notebook that I'm currently working with is currently on Wi-Fi. So this will represent my maximum Wi-Fi speed. I'm also sitting about 5 feet from the Wi-Fi router. And you'll note that my internet is ridiculous, as in good. So we'll go ahead and do a quick test. So right now, my upload over Wi-Fi is, oh no, wait, this is download. Sorry. Download is 550 or so. And my current upload is, that's still going up. Looks to be roundabouts 200 meg. Now, most of us are not, most of us don't yet have fiber. Most of us don't have nearly that much upload bandwidth. That is a lot of upload bandwidth, even over Wi-Fi. So don't feel sad if your speed test reads something that's way lower than that. Just respect whatever it has to say, and I would keep your streaming bandwidth, what you put into OBS as your actual final output, about 20% lower than the actual bandwidth that it lists here as far as your upload speed, which is really what you're looking at for streaming. So if your upload speed on your speed test says, I don't know, 20 megabits, which is still really fast for a cable internet connection, then I would probably go with something along the lines of like a maximum of, 15 megabits to YouTube, for example, just so you have the additional bandwidth in order to maintain a good non-interrupting stream, where you don't have to worry about dropouts or anything like that, trying to maintain a very high bandwidth. Or like I said, if you're on a cell phone and you're getting, 1 megabit, you can try lowering it to, 800 kilobits. And at that point, I would recommend lowering your output resolution, your scaled resolution, to something like 320 by 240 or a reasonable resolution to have at that very low bandwidth. Yeah. So yeah. And that's over Wi-Fi. On the machine that I'm currently streaming with right now today, I'm using wired Ethernet on a internal in my house, 10 gigabit connection. That's to get from me to the router. To get from me to the internet is 2 gigabits fiber that I'm currently paying for. So if we come on over to the desktop, it is ridiculously fast, and I'm happy about that. So going back to the laptop, this is again the wireless bandwidth that I currently have. My Wi-Fi access point is Wi-Fi 6E. So is the laptop. So I'm surprised it's not a little bit better, but it's fine. Anything over 6 megabits for Twitch is a waste, because Twitch basically limits you to 6 megabits anyway. So not a big deal. When it comes to uploading in 4K for YouTube specifically, I usually stream at around 50 megabits. Now, you don't have to. Nobody really has to. That's overkill. But it does make my 4K streams really nice looking. So there's that. In the settings here, you'll note that video encoders is hardware QSV H.264. If I click on that, it'll tell me software or hardware that I can choose from. If I stream with software on this laptop, it will cry. Because because encoding takes up a whole lot of computer, and there's a specific purpose-built hardware encoder that's available for this here. Different computers have different encoders to choose from. If I were not logged into Twitch, in fact, let me go ahead and log off of Twitch for a minute. Disconnect account. Yep, that's fine. So it removed my chats and whatnot, but it left my Twitch stream manager because that was manually added. But if I go to output, advanced. Where's the video encoder? So apparently this particular iGPU on this laptop only supports H.264. So QuickSync H.264 is the iGPU hardware encoder. X264 is the software encoder. So it only supports those two options in my case. Yes, I just went up here and clicked advanced. It does give me all of these various encoder optimization things to mess with. Don't mess with them. It's a headache. It will just lead to lower quality streaming. Stick to the simple menu, and your life will be much happier. So hardware, 6 megs if your internet bandwidth supports it. Otherwise, go with about 20% lower than what your stream says. Audio encoder, just leave that alone. It's default. It's fine. Again, encoder preset balanced. That's fine. Recording path. You can set this to wherever the heck you want, and this is where your recordings will come out if you choose to record your streams. So the default is in the videos section in Windows. See users, your username videos, and that will also pop up in the videos sidebar if you pop open Windows Explorer. And the recording format, Matroska MKV, is usually what you want. You can go with MPEG-4, but if you go with MPEG-4, it may end up losing the file if OBS crashes while it's encoding. So what I recommend doing is if you just leave the default of Matroska here, once your video is complete, once you're done encoding and whatnot, you can actually come on over here and go Remux Recordings. So if you click on that, you can find your OBS recording and then set your target file, and it will make an MP4 file for you. So if you wanted to then import that into a video editor or something like that that doesn't support MKV, you can just remux from here. Remuxing literally copies the structure inside the file to a different container file format without re-encoding. And that's super convenient because it makes it so that you don't have to re-encode. You don't need to utilize any computer power to do it. It just basically moves from one format to the other without any sort of re-encoding. So if anybody has any questions, I'm definitely here and able. You can either type them in the chat here, or you can hit me up on Discord. It's probably going to be the easiest method after this goes live. On YouTube, I plan on tossing this VOD on YouTube to basically see if anybody is interested in doing that. I'll probably trim a few parts out of this. I do go off into some tangents from time to time. But as far as what we learned today is any kind of stacking of, and anytime you want to do any sort of stacking of sources, create a utility source and then add that source to your actual output scene as a scene. And what that enables you to do is modify all of the scenes simultaneously that utilize the underlying nested scene. So if I'm here and I want to change where my logo or my chat is, I can then just go down here to my overlays. I can change where the logo is, change where the chat box is, that kind of thing. Oh, audio. We did not even touch on audio yet. What is wrong with me? That's one of the most important things that you can possibly talk about with OBS, and where it's powerful, or one of the things that it's powerful at. Okay, so audio filtering. That's one of the cool parts. So if we come on down here to utility audio, where I have all my audio things, we can then select the microphone. We're going to right click on it, and I'm going to go filters. So if your voice is not sounding like you want it to, if you're getting room noise, if there's an air conditioner running, if you have kids in the background, if your audio isn't loud enough, if your audio is too loud and blowing out, then this is where to go. So filters work very much like VST plugins if you're familiar with any kind of desktop audio solutions for music production. I'm not going to go too far or too deep into any of this stuff, just as it pertains to OBS. So if we want to add a filter, we click the plus button just like anything else. You can literally add VST filters. That's more advanced, and I'm not going to get into that here. If you have VSTs that you want to load, you can. The first thing I always put in all of my microphone chains is a noise limiter, noise suppression. There we go, noise suppression. All right, and what this does is removes all of the background noise. So if you have an air conditioner, if you start typing, if you have any sort of regular background audio, if you have a fan running, those sorts of things that can be rather distracting. And this will do a good job about taking out a lot of that background audio and making it so that it doesn't come across to your listeners / viewers. Next, we take a look at how the microphone is doing as far as am I peaking? Are my plosives having difficulties reaching the end? You basically want to keep it so that it's right around what you see here. It's just going into the red occasionally. We're sticking around mostly to the upper yellow here. But it's okay if it very occasionally on a plosive or somebody yelling gets up into this very upper edge. So right now, my microphone here, the array mic in this laptop, is actually doing a pretty good job, at least as far as volume levels. So I could leave that alone, but in my case, I'm going to go ahead to do compressor. And we're just going to leave these named what they're normally named. And the default compressor will go ahead and make it so that if there's a loud noise detected, it doesn't go over the red portion. So basically, it stops you from clipping. Is the whole point of a compressor. There is an upward compressor as well. You don't always need this. What this does is if you are having difficulties keeping your levels up here with the volume knob all the way maxed out here, you can use an upward compressor to increase your audio level, and that will basically just sort of expand your sound. Similar, but in the reverse of the normal compressor. I wouldn't run one given the volume output from this microphone is adequate. You can click on the little eyeball to enable and disable filters without removing them. So that's what this feature does. So you can do A/B testing. When you apply filters, I always recommend monitoring your audio. So I would plug in some headphones, set the headphones for your monitoring device, which is under settings, under audio, and then we scroll down to monitoring device. Right now we're set to speakers. If I had headphones plugged in, then I would select the audio for the headphones so I can listen better. And then in order to actually get the monitoring audio, you go advanced audio properties. You right click on the in this interface here, you go advanced audio properties. And here under audio monitoring, we want to go monitor and output. So we'll come down here and find the microphone that we're adjusting here, and we go monitor and output, and this should come out of my, yep, it's coming out of my laptop speakers. So you should hear an echo right now when it's picking up the audio from my desktop microphone. So I'm going to go ahead and switch that off for demonstration purposes. That echo went away, and that's good. But we'll go back into filters. So when messing with filters, always be monitoring so you can hear what the effect of the audio is. It's also a good idea to talk to yourself for what it's worth while going through all of these settings so you can get a feel for how it's going to affect your voice or whatever it is that you're attempting to capture. Going through this stuff live and tweaking while live in the way that you're going to speak is by far the best way in order to get an idea of what this is doing to your audio. We can drop a 3-band equalizer. So if your voice is sounding too tinny, or if it's sounding too muddy, we can adjust these with high, medium, and low filters. So these are your treble bass controls. High is treble, low is bass, mid is your mids. For a lot of people and a lot of microphones, you want to turn up the low a little bit, so you get more of that announcer sound, and that will help out a lot of people. And you can also peel back the highs a little bit as well, while increasing the mids very slightly. And that's usually more or less what I would do. Again, you should always be monitoring and getting a feel for what the effect is of the output here. But that's the basic of the 3-band EQ. And last thing in the chain that I always want to make sure is here is a noise gate. A noise gate will kill the audio completely if you are not speaking. Kill the audio completely for this input if you are not speaking. So you'll note during the times that I'm not speaking, this microphone thing will just go away completely, instead of having a background noise. So if I turn off the noise suppression, this microphone has its own integrated noise suppression. So that's not terribly helpful in terms of the way that things work here as far as demonstration. But I always have a noise gate on at the end here, and that basically keeps any unwanted audio from coming through when you're not speaking, despite the background noise suppression. And with this, you can adjust the open and close thresholds if you wish, to basically tell the computer when it should be allowing audio through or not. And I find the defaults are generally just fine. You can definitely experiment with them if you'd like. But this is what I usually set up for microphone. A noise suppression at the top of the chain, compressor, upward compressor if needed. Not all microphones need an upward compressor, as we see here. 3-band EQ if you want to adjust the treble and bass of the output. You could use a 3-band EQ, and then finally I end with a noise gate. Now, order matters in this particular instance. So like if I put the noise gate at the top, for example, before it's got an opportunity to do any background audio suppression, then it won't be nearly as effective as when it's after the noise suppression. That kind of thing. So that's the audio filters in OBS. Definitely very powerful and strongly recommended. Also, when you're doing filters like that, the filters will go on uh, the utility scene, not any particular scene. So you do this once per microphone, the way you want it. You can tweak it later, but you don't have to do it per scene, which is super annoying. So you don't have to do your cameras per scene. You don't have to do your audio per scene. You don't have to do your overlays per scene. You can have multiple utility scenes if you wish. Different arrangements of elements for like overlays, for example. If you don't want your chat in the upper right hand corner all the time, you don't have to. Coming back over to my desktop, this is the stream that we're currently streaming on, Streamception. I don't think that you'll be able to read them because this is all being downsampled by half. But just looking through my scene collection here, right now we're on B plus A scene, and that is my B camera, which right now is the laptop, because that's plugged into the same input device, the cam link that I usually use for my camera. So I didn't bother messing with my scenes. I just sort of plugged it in and started. So right now we're in B plus A, which is the B camera plus the A camera, my utilities, stream overlays, my social stream overlays, which I have in a separate separate utility. It includes my audio utility here, which is also soundtrack. It's desk mic. It's lapel mic if I have that plugged in. It's TTS bot if I'm currently using TTS. I have WebEx and Zoom captures for capturing events and recording those here. I have a C camera that I can plug in and use just a webcam. I have my camera A with background removed. That's how I'm doing my green screen stuff that you see here. I don't have a green screen, it's just a background removal. You do need an NVIDIA GPU in order to do that background removal the way that I'm doing it. If we take a look at my scene here, this is just the camera with background removed. And we do a filters. Nope, not filters. Filters. Oh, wrong input. Filters. There we go. So I have this NVIDIA background removal thing here. This uses my internal, my discrete GPU, my 4090, in order to remove the background behind me in a high quality way that gets the job done very, very well. It's set to performance because it's good enough and seems to work well. You can tell it how many frames that it will look for background changes. I currently have it set to 2, so that it lowers the amount of computation that it needs to do. So basically every other frame, it'll look for a change, which is just fine for me. You can do standard chroma key if you do have a green screen. I do own a green screen, it's just not rolled out right now. And it's not necessary anymore, at least for me with an NVIDIA graphics card. Now, I'm using a Baller 4090 graphics card. You don't need a 4090 in order to do any of this stuff. You can do this just fine with any 10 series or above, I think. Pretty sure it's 10 series or above for the background removal stuff. Um, so if you have a NVIDIA graphics card at all that's beyond that point, and that's now 4 generations old, you should be able to do that. The Intel graphics card that's in the laptop here does not have these functionalities, unfortunately. But video filters do work the same as audio filters. So we can just click on the utility. We click on the little add button here, and we have all of these different things that we can add to our video, including chroma key, which is the green screen stuff. We can do color correction, either by applying a LUT or a separate color correction pass. That's more advanced than most people really need to get into. The video output from most webcams is adequate for most streaming needs. You can crop pad from here, which will reduce the size of your webcam view. So if you want to crop out any part of the view from any scene, this is a webcam, but it can be any scene. You can apply these effects to. You can do so here. You can do HDR tone mapping override if you really want to go into the world of HDR and broadcast HDR stuff. That stuff isn't really baked yet, but it's there. You can do image masking. You can do light map keying. That's what Luma key is. I have my NVIDIA background removal there. You can add or remove a render delay. So if you need to delay your video for your microphone, you can do that so that your lips match the output of your mic. That's how you would do that. You would add a render delay. You can do scaling and aspect ratio effects right from here. You can tell it to scroll. There's also a sharpen filter. So if things are a little soft, you can basically make that a little sharper on screen too. On combined devices that support audio and video, for example, this is my primary A camera, as you can see here. You can add audio effects here and video effects here, and that would be the same as applying them in the audio section. So yeah, that's the audio and video filters in OBS. Let's see. We can move back to the laptop. So now that we're back using the laptop for demonstration purposes in our setup here, what was I going to show you? Oh yeah, profiles. So under profiles, right now we've created the one profile that we're on, and it's called Untitled. I'm going to rename our current profile, and I'm going to name that to Demonstration 1. And what profiles do is keep all of your settings separate. And what scene collections do is they keep your collection of scenes separate. So it's a way to stack on a meta layer above them. So, for example, if I wanted to stream to both Twitch and YouTube, I could, let's rename this to Twitch. Okay, so this is the settings and whatnot that I've done for my Twitch stream. Right, so I've got my stream settings are set to Twitch, etc., etc. So if I create a new profile and I call this YouTube, right, I'll get that automatic configuration wizard again. It'll start you off right where you did when you first opened up the application. So I want to optimize for streaming. Recording is secondary. I'm just going to breeze through these real quick. I'm not going to bother explaining them as I did that before. But this time, when it asks what service we want to use, I'm going to click on that and go YouTube RTMPS. We want to prefer hardware encoding. We don't want to estimate bit rate. And because I have access to all of the bit rate, I'm going to set this to 40 kilobits, or 40,000 kilobits. So 40 megabits, basically. I'm going to connect my account. And I'm going to connect it to the Cpgeek.org YouTube account. And I do trust OBS, so I'm going to continue. Authorization completed successfully. We can now close the page. I'll go ahead and minimize that there. So we are now connected to account Cpgeek.org. It was simply cached in my browser. It uses Google authentication in order to make that happen. So we click next. And here, just to go over the overview one more time. So service is YouTube RTMPS. Server is the primary YouTube ingest server. Video bitrate is 40,000 megabits, 40,000 kilobits per second, 40 megabits per second. Stream encoder is QSV and H.264. On my desktop, I would change that to AV1 because it's more convenient, and YouTube does support AV1 ingest right now. It would make things look so much better, but even so, 40 megabits is enough to make anything look good, really, even 4K. Yeah, I'll continue with that. Recording quality, same as stream. Base canvas is 1080p. Output is 1080p, which is fine for the laptop here. And FPS is 60 frames per second, and that's totally fine because we're working with 40 megabits. So we'll apply. It automatically gives us the YouTube chat overlays here. So we can do the live control panel. We can log in with that, and that will give us start-stop capabilities there. When I go live, the chat will go live. It's just showing me the OBS logo right now because there's no live feed on the YouTube page. And OBS actually has some really nice features for YouTube specifically. So for example, we can click on Manage Broadcast, and we can set up a live stream on YouTube right from here. So I could title this Demonstration Live Stream. We can have it remember these settings as well, so they'll be there the next time that we go to it. We just have to edit the settings as appropriate. I'm not going to check that right now because I don't want to save these. This is the description for the live stream. We can set privacy, public, unlisted, private. This is the same as it works for streaming on the YouTube webpage. So we'll set that unlisted, and this is going to be science and technology. That's what I usually stream in. Is this video made for kids? No, it is not made for kids. We could select a video thumbnail, or a thumbnail for the video here. I'm not going to bother right now. It'll just use the YouTube default. It'll enable DVR, which is basically the saving of your YouTube stream into the VOD. We can schedule it for a later time if we want, and schedule the broadcast. We could enable auto start if we want. I'm just going to go ahead and schedule and select the broadcast. So this is pushing all of that data that we just entered to YouTube's website right from here. And it popped open the chat for that live stream right from here. So we now have the appropriate chat. If we had logged in here, I could get the live control panel as well. I personally find this is not a very good control panel, so I usually end up having the web view for the control panel for YouTube site just right there. And then we can go ahead and start streaming with our main overlay. I am a big fan of getting started scenes so that I have enough time for people to trickle in to my stream, as well as give a kind of sort of a countdown for how long it'll be when I get started. I usually do a 10-minute countdown. I got a royalty-free countdown from, where did I get that from? I don't even remember where it came from. I'm sorry. I can definitely find that out later. But if I go back to my desktop and I go to 10-minute countdown electric, you'll note that there's a whole bunch of sources in this that make this up. So I've got my logos, I've got the chat overlay, which comes from the social stream, which comes from the stream elements overlays. There's the logo. There's the audio utilities, so you can get soundtrack audio. I've got the 10-minute timer video that just plays. So this is just a video that plays that lasts for 10 minutes. And when it ends, it goes to the starting soon, because that's always playing in the background. This is a video, and it just loops. It just sits there looping. All it does all day long. But when this video stops, the 10-minute timer electric video that I showed you a second ago, it counts down. But when it's over, you see the video that's underneath it, and that's always playing. So that's how I do my getting started stream here. This one, so the little eyeball next to the scene will turn it on and off. So I can basically click on this, and it will reveal whatever it is that scene is. So for example, I have my K1 Max webcam always running, so I can add that into my starting, my getting started scene. So if I'm printing something on the 3D printer that you see here, all I need to do is basically start my my 10-minute timer, start my background audio. So you get the soundtrack there. You see the timer. You see the active printer. This is not printing right now. It's currently paused, but this is a live view of the inside of the printer. And there's that. As far as adding 3D printer views, that is actually a really easy thing to do if your printer already has a webcam. I'll show you how to do that now. Well, anyway, you can always pop open the interface settings in Mainsail. Come on down here to webcams, and then it'll give you the URL here. So if we go edit, we'll grab the URL stream. So we go copy, and this is the current webcam stream that is what's being displayed here. I should have been able to garner that information from the web browser itself, but I wasn't able to see that. But Mainsail will definitely tell you. So once you're there, I have a printer dash or utility dash K1 Max 1. There we go. I have my K1 Max, and I basically just created a new video. So I went new media source, and then I added the media source, and you paste in the input, and you tell it to restart playback when source becomes active, and you also want to close file when inactive. I didn't set those up here, so that was just cranking and taking up CPU cycles for no reason. But yeah, and that will enable you to get live output. So that is the current state of my 3D printer. It is paused. I paused it during a print, and then I stopped its fans, and it's been sitting there ever since. I need to go over and clear off its print bed and make that happen. But any kind of this is also how you would set up like if you have a Wi-Fi webcam, like a Wise View cam or a security camera, if you wanted to stream that, you could put that in there. This is incredibly flexible as far as overall usefulness. So that's it for my little introduction to OBS and how to get started and working on that. If anybody has any comments, please drop those down below if you're watching this on YouTube, or go ahead and hit me up on Discord. If you have any questions about how to get started with OBS, I'm happy to help anybody out with that. Audio issues, video issues, using the techniques that I described here today, as far as nesting scenes and where to go to get at the different settings for different stuff, will help the troubleshooting process dramatically. Because if you only have one place to go for the specific hardware that you're using, so in order to tweak your microphone settings, for example, you don't have to mess around with per scene audio. You don't have one scene that does echo microphone doubling. There's nothing to that, because you're only using the one scene that has your audio stuff that's set up the way you want it. And you don't have to worry about any of those sort of external stacking phenomenon in terms of things like echo and things like doubling up of sources, or any of those sorts of things. So if anybody got anything out of this, please let me know. If anybody has questions, please let me know. And once again, I'm Josh, also known as Cpgeek, and on this channel, I usually end up building something, be it printers or arcade or computers or servers, or recently my server rack, which I still need to finish. If you are at all interested in building or making 3D printers, things that are 3D printed, any kind of engineering stuff, any kind of server related stuff, please give me a follow, hit the subscribe button if you're here on YouTube, and definitely go on over to Cpgeek.org/Discord, which I will put in the chat now, in order to gain access to our Discord channel. We like to hang out there. Definitely let me know what projects that you are working on. Let me know what kind of stuff that you want me to see on my stream, and on the Discord and on the website. I do know that I need to refurbish the Cpgeek.org website, and that will happen when I move that site into my home virtualization cluster for self-hosting. That's a project that's been coming soon. I don't know how much of that I'll be streaming, but I will definitely keep people up to date on the way that that's working, and probably drop something on the website itself when that goes live too. Yeah, so thank you all for joining me here today. Hopefully I'll have something more interesting next time around. I do want to do a second part of this and show you all of the cool additional stuff that I'm using in order to do streaming. That stuff being a small number of OBS plugins, some third-party services that I'm using, like I'll get into a little bit more depth on Stream Elements and Social Stream, which is an overlay for chat. Maybe TTS bot, I've dabbled with that on and off, and stuff like sound alerts. I'll go over that stuff too. What else? Oh, Scene Tree, the hierarchical plugin that I'm using in order to collapse my scenes, because there's a ton of scenes that I have here. I not only stream on my stream, but I also use the same exact setup for streaming professionally at work. I often find myself capturing things like WebEx streams. So I have a talking head and a slideshow, and I combine those. I do that with OBS Studio as well, and keep all the sound straight and make sure that all that's working properly. So this whole setup is used for double duty in that case. Yeah. Anyway, thank you all for joining me, and have yourselves a great night. Look forward to the next time I get to talk to you. So have a good one. Cpgeek out.